All right, get back to the people in a moment. Sully, NFL Blitz. Lots going on in the NFL, including some controversy. Let's do it. 5 big issues from around the league. I'm sure Hatchett's going to jump in as he is very passionate about these suspensions. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's start with the latest suspension from today. This afternoon, it was announced by the Kansas City Chiefs. Marcus Peters suspended 1 game for what he did this past weekend, picking up the official's flag and throwing it into the crowd. Your thoughts on this suspension to lead us off, Mike?
I think missing a game for that's a bit much, to be honest. If we're going to only suspend guys a game for trying to kill people, I'd like to think that throwing a flag with a beanie attached to it is somewhere below that. I'll just say it. The NFL's disciplinary measures make no sense. I don't know if they throw like a dartboard. I don't know how they come to these decisions. But no, I don't think Marcus Peters deserves a game. Now, fine him. No question. You got to fine the guy. But a game, no, absolutely not.
Question number 2, John Elway. He said that he's, quote-unquote, embarrassed by the Denver Broncos' performance this season, but he won't make any in-season coaching changes. Now, kind of a 2-part question. Your thoughts on the Broncos this year and how bad they've been. And secondly, a lot of people calling for Vance Joseph to go. Your thoughts on that?
Well, for one, I don't think it's fair to fire a coach in his first season. David and I talked about this earlier. I mean, it doesn't seem that Vance Joseph's getting a fair shake here. But I think Elway needs to do a little bit of what John Mara did the other day. Step to the podium and say it. I bleeped up. I screwed up the quarterback situation. I went into this season thinking Trevor Siemian could carry us. I traded up to get Paxton Lynch, who stinks. I messed up. I didn't do a good job getting us a quarterback. It's priority 1 for the offseason. I don't think it's Vance Joseph's fault that Trevor Siemian's awful. I don't think that's the right thing to do. And frankly, look, John Elway's deserved a lot of credit for helping build that thing. But they made the Houston Texans mistake, going year over year without a quarterback. It should have been priority 1. Whatever allocation of assets needed, whether it's a player, whether it was draft picks, whether it was money, they needed to get a quarterback. They didn't. That's on the general manager. That's not on Vance Joseph.
Fury touchdown.
And Vance Joseph, as we know, is having the time of his life, as Sergio Dip so greatly
the time of his life
reported to us earlier this season.
Yes, his diversity serves him well.
I miss Sergio Dip. That report was great. Question number 3. Bengals safety George Iloka, 1-game suspension, has been reduced to just a fine. He's not suspended at all. This obviously for Iloka's helmet-to-helmet hit on Antonio Brown in Monday night's loss to the Steelers. Your thoughts on Iloka now not being suspended at all?
It doesn't make sense because what Iloka did was worse than what Juju did. Now, to me, Juju was a fine. Iloka was a suspension. That's how I would have done it. Look, again, the league just confuses me with what they do. And in this case, I don't like that you suspended a guy for a game, he appeals it, and you just drop it. You may as well have suspended him 2 games. He appeals it, you give him a game, everybody wins. The NFL just doesn't make a lot of sense. David, I know you feel very strongly about this, so please, quickly.
Well, it just makes no sense because you got Troy Vincent who's out there saying that they want to institute the targeting rule like college. Well, this was targeting.
Right.
He launched himself at his head.
Right.
So that is the example of targeting.
It's the definition.
He should not have been reduced or taken away. It should be 2 games, to be honest.
Or you're right, but learn how to play the game. You know he's going to appeal it, so give him 2.
Exactly.
He appeals, go to 1.
That's what you do.
And you win. Yep. Next.
Have to mention this tweet, and this is something we might get into as well today. Brent Musburger, he said the following about the NFL and people talking about the big hits and whatnot. Quote, "Yo, snowflakes, quit preaching. The violent world of Sam Huff sold NFL football to the masses. The Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders gave us a little sex with our violence. Deal with it." Your thoughts on this statement from the legend, Brent Musburger?
How old's Brent Musburger?
I might have to look up his age. I'm not sure.
Got to be damn near 80. Is that fair?
78.
Okay.
So, yes.
I love Brent Musburger as a broadcaster. He was one of my favorites. I hope he's having a great time in retirement in Vegas. But I do not take my cues on what's appropriate in 2017 from an 80-year-old white man who has no concept of reality and where we are. Yeah, Sam Huff. That was awesome. Except all those guys were dead by 50. Clotheslines were legal. The Deacon Jones head slap. Poking people's eyes out. Guys playing both ways. Come on, Brent. You know better than that. We'll get into that a little later. But again, Brent's out of touch. 80 years old. The NFL is never going back to what it was.
I'm not having a very good day.
Have to ask you about Bruce Arians. I'm going to read you the following quote. Basically, he said that making NFL refs full-timers would cut mistakes that cost Cardinals versus Rams. He says this: they'd be held more accountable, first of all. Right now, they're not accountable for right now, they're only accountable to their union. There are no ramifications. Hey, I made a bad call, my bad. If they were full-time and under the league umbrella, that would be totally different. Do you agree with Bruce Arians that making NFL refs full-timers would change a lot of things?
I've said that for a decade. Honestly, it's the easiest fix in the world. I don't know why leagues are hesitant to do it. I don't need to see Ed Hockley going to be a high school principal or a lawyer in his spare time. You're an NFL employee, full-time, all the time. You have an off season just like the players do. Full training, full learning, it's a profession. Yeah, I agree completely with Bruce Arians. The NFL has dropped the ball in a big way for a long time. I'd pay these guys premium dollar, but in return, we own you $365 every year, becoming recertified as an official, passing certain tests, going through a training camp every year, having OTAs. I'm talking all of it. Officiating needs to be better in this NFL because right now it's a disaster.
I think it could get younger, too. I do think that would help as well.
Oh, there's the young guy hating on old people.
A little bit of breaking news you can react to, NFL-related. Roger Goodell's new contract, it's done. 5 years, $200 million, officially done. I guess your immediate reaction to that.
Oh, my Lord. I should have gone to school to be a commissioner of something. I don't even know what to say to that. Look, he makes the players go through the ringer. The owners like him outside of Jerry Jones. It's amazing that he's been given this contract extension, even though he's himself screwed up a number of high-profile situations. PR nightmare. It's incredible, man. Did he get the private plane and the lifetime insurance like he wanted?
We don't know that. Those details we do not know yet.
Oh, man, why not throw those in, too, while you're at it?
Interesting thought.
Thanks, Doug.
But we do have time for one quick bonus question. I know we like to talk about broadcasting and NFL broadcasting on this show sometimes. I wanted to get your thoughts on the latest broadcasting news. Kurt Warner, he's going to be calling 2 games alongside Mike Tirico as part of NBC Sports coverage of the NFL. His first game being Lions-Bears next weekend. What are your thoughts on Kurt Warner? Are you expecting much from him as a broadcaster? We're going to be seeing him more starting next weekend.
No, I've seen a couple television appearances by him. He's a little bit stiff, a little bit dry. I'll give him a chance to be fair, but I'm just to a point. I don't need a former player in the booth. They don't say anything. They're not interesting. You know what we need, honestly, in this business? We need people to think outside the box a little bit. Like, you know what? Dennis Miller was before his time on Monday Night Football. I'm not a Dennis Miller guy. The idea of Dennis Miller was ahead of its time. We need somebody to start thinking outside the box because, frankly, the stiff as a board, School of Newhouse, Syracuse broadcaster that's a robot paired with ex-athlete who says and does nothing and has no broadcasting skill and no personality, I'm bored with it. Honestly, I'm just bored with it. Every broadcaster looks like Joe Davis, and every former player's just a total dud. Very few of them are interesting. I want to see some creativity.
You should get in the booth.
No,